Greetings everyone, and welcome to my 9th VOD review for the Paris Eternal team, and I am looking forward to this one because of all the Widowmaker duels. We've got some other sniper duels, a little bit of Far Mercy, a little bit of Dive here, and Dive has certainly improved for our team, so I'm looking forward to breaking down areas that we can further refine the dive process, but so far so good. Things have definitely been looking up since the first time that we tried dive, so let's get into it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Alright, so that's good. You identify that the Zenyatta is sort of alone up here, you dive him, and then you kill him. And then we have the ongoing sniper battle between Stolen and Alchemist. And that's fine to ignore these two on the high ground because they're not actually threatening you directly yet until they drop down. But since you have both supports here, that's fine to ignore payload for the time being, kill the Zen, and then you can put pressure on the Widow. So I like seeing this. Yeah, back to that Widow, that's good. Chasing him down. And now move payload. Good, very good. Certainly that was one of the more clean openings for Watchpoint Gibraltar that I've seen, so that was excellent. Reaper didn't even have a chance. Taking care of Farah, no problem. Excellent. Okay, and this is where we start getting a little bit fragmented here, so you don't want to dive too deep since your payload is still way back around the corner down here, and you guys are kind of fragmented up here, and we did use barrier a little bit prematurely there, and we don't have a solid angle to go in together to try and cut them off, so just a little bit too soon. This is okay to have forward position here, and it's okay to like set up on top of the actual aircraft up here, or you can set up around this area right here and use the boxes themselves as cover on this side. And then when you're all ready with the cooldowns and they've regrouped either in here or they're pushing down here, then you can dive them again from this angle or go up on top right there. So that's just a little suggestion that I would say is like set up shop here or set up shop right here where you have at least some cover, and then make your dives appropriately where the enemy team is going to come from. Yeah, that's excellent position here, Red. Right on top of the aircraft. Excellent vision through here, and you can see everything down here too. So perfect position. As we go through from phase 1 to phase 2 and then to phase 3 in here, Widowmaker keeps getting better until you get to phase 3, so there's actually no reason to swap off Widow unless they're starting to hard counter you, or you're just not able to consistently land the shots. So overall it's an excellent Widowmaker map, it's an excellent Hanzo map, it's an excellent dive map. Controlling that high ground is very important, and of course the Ashe players love it too because there's plenty of high ground and mid ground to stand on as well. Yeah, right here. Okay, so we're sort of grouped, and then if like Waffle just drops down a little bit and then can dive back up along with Yellow, we can get a nade in there and stuff like that. We've got excellent vision with the Widow, so let's see what we have here. And that's totally fine. You wait a little bit, you diagnose that the Mercy was hanging over the ship, sort of in the little floating guardian angel mode there. Yeah, see, like Waffle, you weren't really receiving that much pressure. I don't think you needed to primal there. You could have just waited for... What I do with Winston is that I wait for the target to Guardian Angel back up and then use my jump to counter where that Mercy is going to be floating. So that's the thing. I mean, obviously I know Reaper teleported up, but Yellow, you can turn around Defense Matrix Reaper until Waffle gets his jump back, and then both of you can re-engage the Mercy and kill her. And then you'll have the ground team to help heal you back up. And then once you've deleted the Mercy, you can either go after Reaper or Pharah, whichever one is more threatening to you. It really depends on what you're feeling. I know you've been alt tracking, so of course Barrage is going to be coming soon. You know that Reaper doesn't have ultimate because he just swapped over, came up through here, and then teleported onto the high ground and is chasing you. So in my opinion, that'd be priority target number 1 would be the Pharah after you kill that Mercy.
Time to raise my APM.
Yeah, and what I would do is call for a shield break, everybody on the Reinhardt. I know you do have self-destruct and you use self-destruct. That would be a tactic that I would do here, is try and break the Reinhardt shield, and then that way everybody has to disperse for 3 seconds. If they don't, then you're probably going to get the payload in and the checkpoint, so leaving the bomb on top of the little payload. Or you can do the... here's some diva tech for you. You can do the super pro maneuver where you break the Reinhardt shield and then you do like a slider maneuver and then go straight up and release the bomb here, and then it falls back down just above the top of the satellite drone payload and then blows up, and you might get a couple kills out of that. So just an option there for you. I know you're not a hardcore diva player, and that's fine, but just something to be aware of in the future should you ever need to play diva again, or if you're going up against diva players, then you can understand possible tactics that they're using against you. Yeah, see, just because it detonates a little bit too far up because you didn't actually slide and then booster up and then drop the bomb, but that's okay. You still did well, you did a lot of damage to the Reinhardt, so you might be able to kill him. Good sound barrier coming in, keeping everybody up and healthy. And then now it's up to you guys to focus that Reinhardt, remove him, and then go after the Pharah here, because she is right there. kills in order, and then you get the Mercy. Now Reaper. There's no Wraith.
You better get out of the way.
Wow. Nano onto yellow. Well, I don't know if that was a intended nano on yellow. Oh, you're trying to nano waffle. Okay. Okay. Alright.
You better get out of the way.
That makes sense.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
I'm back in the fight.
Yeah, overall, pretty good decision making on 1 and 2. Things start to break down on 3 on the third point here, so let's take a deep, in-depth look at that. And again, good positioning here, high ground, pressuring them down, good sight lines, standing up here, and then of course you're going to be moving between here and here to try and kill the Pharah as well as the Reaper. And I believe the Reaper does swap back to Widowmaker on this point. Yeah, and one other thing right here is that you can communicate when you're getting pressured down by Reaper. So he teleports up, and then he immediately races out and drops down. So like Yellow and Waffle, you guys can call that out since you can see that what's going on the high ground here, and then someone can climb back up and then retake high ground, stuff like that. So calling out where the position of the enemy team is so that you guys can get into position and retake the high ground from them. Of course, Pharah got rezzed.
Justice.
Yeah, I don't know why the Pharah barraged, or at least solo ulted you, Waffle.
Justice.
Yeah, that didn't make much sense for them, but whatever. This was an attempted frag with the Death Blossom, but that got shut down. It's always tough to try and Death Blossom a Widow, a Hanzo, and an Ana, because you're 9 times out of 10 the Reaper is going to die. And we have a regroup here.
Clearing the area.
Yeah, that was a great kill to keep Neff alive. Nowhere to run for Ana in the Mega Health Pack room there.
Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
Alright, so this is what I find interesting, because they come out with double shield. So either you can match them with double shield or you can match them with Rein Zarya. Since they are sort of playing an anti-dive now, Orisa is not a good dive target and can halt you away. Of course, Brig is very difficult to dive as well and can shield bash and flail you away. And then they have Pharah Mercy to lurk up in the sky, and then she can collapse on whatever target tries to dive as well, since you only have a Lucio and 2 tanks that can dive. So what I'd do is I'd swap to the Rein Zarya here, or I would swap to Sigma Reinhardt, because there's no point in you having to play Orisa here. Like, I could play Orisa here and make it work with like Waffle's Reinhardt, because they have Orisa too, but like Orisa is not really a good pick against what they have. I would say Sigma and Reinhardt would be better because of the the fact that Sigma can just block, absorb more damage, put out some more barriers and whatnot, and you can outvalue their shield composition with the Reinhardt and Sigma as well. And then that provides your team a little bit of extra shielding so that they can, once again, focus the Pharmercy and Widow, this trio that's been doing the most work for them, because the tanks haven't really been effective, and Brig has been staying so far back in the back line to try and stop the dive that she's not playing in the front line, so that would be my suggestion here.
Helden sterben nicht.
Allah till mig!
And once again here, I believe Nano should have gone on to Waffle. I think the first one was just Yoa like stepped in front of Waffle when Neff was trying to nano him. This one, definitely you'd want to nano your Winston. And if you're running dive here, you're not going to be able to really touch these three because they're going to grapple away and fly away from you. So you can actually, technically, as weird as this sounds, you can both dive the Brig and actually kill her. She's going to shield bash and flail you out, but the follow-up damage from Diva, as well as a little bit of McCree and maybe an Ononade, will take care of that, and then you can collapse onto the tanks, and you're going to have to remove the tanks so that will open up opportunities for Red and Stolen to go after this trio here, because right now a lot of their team is being protected by shields.
Helden sterben nicht.
Allah till mig!
Yeah, like once again, Waffle, you primal too early. You're not actually under pressure, and you're using your ultimate too soon, where you don't really need to use it. Like, yeah, you primaled her into the room, and you can probably kill her before she can get out and kill you, but she is still, like, rallied. So, I mean, you did separate her from the rest of the team, but you could have waited another 3, maybe even 4 seconds before you even needed to hit primal. Also, I would call for everybody on to the Reinhardt, since he is clearly separated from the rest of your team, so you guys need to collapse on him. Of course, Yellow's already on him, so you can remove him and then deal with the Brig after that. Yeah, he actually wasted Shatter there because you already won the fight. It's just so much fun watching the DPS duels happen. I mean, that was one of the things that I missed during GOATS, is that there was no DPS duels, but even though it was like a more high IQ, outvalue the other team, use ultimates in a certain way to counter what the enemy team is doing and whatnot, and it relied a lot on positioning and individual skill to, of course, outvalue the enemy team and whatnot. But like with this, it's just good old-fashioned mechanical skill, clicking those heads, trying to get as many kills as possible. That's a good halt across there, trying to get stolen.
Cease your resistance.
And that's a regroup.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Gosh, this makes me want to play some Widow. I've missed playing her so much, and seeing good snipers to go against. It's just so much fun. Oh, yeah, what a halt there. Their Orisa actually saved, like, what, their Reinhardt, perhaps their Pharah and Brig as well, from halting Waffle away from the pin onto their Reinhardt. So definitely the Reinhardt would have died. Perhaps maybe a couple more of them because of that clutch halt there. You love to see it as an Orisa player. Wow. Sfar likes those aggressive barrages. Good. I mean, it's a much better tank composition now, because we will have Dragon Strike, and we should have time to get a nice, good Grav Dragon in there for the second time around, as well as perhaps a Shatter Dragon the first time around, something like that. We do have Deadeye, perhaps a Shattered Deadeye, Nano onto Waffle, stuff like that. So we've got more utility use and a bit more frontline help against the double shield with this composition. So I like this swap better than the Winston Diva here for third.
Helden sterben nicht.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Wow, what a boop and pin. That was incredible. You were so close to getting out too, Twisting.
60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Widow Hanzo together. That's perfectly fine. You know who your targets are. Priority 1, the Widowmaker. Priority 2, the Pharah. Yeah, that's always tough, trying to shatter into a double shield there. Like 9 times out of 10, it's probably not going to work. The Orisa will have Fortify too, so if they're a good Orisa player, they'll know that you walked into their shatter, they'll Fortify, and then they won't get shattered, and then you're probably going to die doing that. So, of course, very risky because, you know, you're being blocked by 2 shields there, but, you know. Big nade, though. Yeah, let's get on this Pharah and Sniper. Good denial on the res. Finally. Alright. You know she almost has barrage. She's working back there, of course. Neff's got eyes on her. Maybe a sleep dart, a nade to shut down, of course. Who is that coming back? Is that Twistic coming back? No. Who is that out there? Is that Red? I'm so far away. Yes, it's Red.
Justice reigns from above.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was communicated out or whatnot. I did notice that a couple of you knew where the Pharah was, but there was a little bit of chaos there, but you can stop doing what you're doing on the payload because you did have some time, and then you can go after the Pharah. You won't see 9 because you'll have either one tank or both tanks on the payload, and then you other 3 can go after the Pharah, meaning Red, Stolen, and Neff. So you 3 could take care of that Pharah in that room, and then get back on payload. But you know, that's just like, that's all tracking. You know that they have barrage because they're hiding. They would have died if they didn't have barrage. They'd just try and contest the payload and get as many kills as possible, but that's just a Pharah tactic. Hide when you have barrage and try and get a sneaky one. Okay, now you do have a decent sightline red, but there's one other thing you can do, because they're not actually going to threaten you up on this high ground, so you can grapple up to here, and then you'll have a sightline here, and you'll have the sightline over here towards the other spawn, so you'll see all three angles of where they can come out at, and that way you won't be blocked by the payload itself, so you'll be able to shoot over all these obstacles here. You'll shoot over the boxes, you'll shoot over the payload, and you'll shoot over the crates and the sort of the wall where they try and hunker down and hide there for a second when they regroup. So you'll be able to see all of that. And the reason why you won't be threatened is because you've got the rest of your team here that they have to contest the payload. If they don't, you're going to push it all the way through. So you can stand right here quite comfortably as Widowmaker when you have a near team kill, and then they're going to have to deal with your team on the payload first before they touch you.
Огонь по готовности!
Nice pin. Nothing wrong with shattering the tracer. Alright.
One. Attackers incoming.
Is this like a meme strat or something coming out on Torb? Like what? Anyway, maybe he's going to set up on the payload, and then we're going to double shield the turret around the corner or whatever. But obviously, this Widowmaker is pretty good. They know the angles to play, so they like to what? They're probably going to come out this side. Yes, the side door there, and then wrap around and then snipe from either the bottom, or they're going to snipe from this spot here. So be prepared for that. That's where the good widows go when they're attacking. Yep. Okay. So we see over the top, try and do a grapple shot here, and then sometimes they'll work up here and then shoot from this angle across, or they'll shoot from this angle across, or they're going to go down here and wrap around, and then they're going to have these sight lines for up top and on the side, and then they can walk up here and get really aggressive and try and go after the back line from the flank, the very aggressive pine flank. Again, very weird to have a turret here and not actually on the payload with the Orisa and Sigma Shield protecting it, but, you know, I guess that's that, right? Yeah, right here, right here. You should not have dropped down here. And the reason why is because they are all right in front of you and right on top of you. So if just you two drop down and try and engage them, you're going to get murdered. So what you need to do is you need to instead make a call out that we're going to drop down behind. And what you want to do is you want to engage them as a group of, well, 5. As a group of 5. That way we have Reaper flank around. That's fine. That's cool. Reaper in the back line. Maybe you can nade over the shields. But if all of you drop down here and then engage as a hardcore like front line against their tanks and their Torb and Brig and Moira, then that's cool right there. So that is perfectly good. The reason why this didn't work out is because you tried to drop directly onto an Orisa and Sigma, and then you're going to get murdered, not only by the Orisa Sigma, but you're going to get murdered by the Torb and the Brig as well, because Torb does a lot of damage now. Yeah, mini molten core right to the face. Good kill on Torb though. And we're backing out. Try and survive. Yes, very good. You can go all the way back, Twisted. You didn't have to like sit back here. You can go speed boost all the way out, right with Yellow as he was retreating. Keep speed boosting him back, go back to spawn, get everybody as the regroup, and then taxi them back through with your speed boost. And this is fine too, because their Widow was playing very safe here, which surprised me. But as they were doing Stolen decided to take cover here, so the Widow can't really threaten her unless she has Grapple back on cooldown, and then moves to a very aggressive position right here and tries and engage in a point-blank duel. And that's fine, because this allows Stolen to get sightlines down here, try and kill the Brig, the Orisa, or the maybe the Sigma. I see that's where she's looking at, is right on payload here with these two, so that's cool. So if you are a sniper, that is a viable strategy to help your team when the other sniper cannot actually do anything to kill you, or is so far removed from the fight that you need to turn your attention back onto the enemy team that's pushing payload, so that's a very good strategy there. See, she doesn't have grapple, so she's walking around, taking her time to go through the doorway. And now she's going to try and get another sight on. But all she can do is shoot Waffle's shield. So that's fine too. And then now Stolen can have an opportunity to kill the backline here, kill that Moira, maybe kill the Sigma, and then go back on to work onto the Alchemist. Okay, now we have Red teleporting up to the high ground, as well as Twistic up here to try and pressure Alchemist down. That is good, and you try and boop her down, but then I will watch this and see what happens here. You end up going here, and Red drops down to try and focus onto their backline, try and get a kill onto the Moira, and then either the Widow or the Sigma, and that's perfectly cool. But then Twisted, you go back up here, and then you kind of hang out over on the high ground here. So I could see that there's a struggle in what decision you're going to make, either to follow Red in to an aggressive backline push, or if you're going to sit up here and then drop down and try and help with your front line. But I would say for this situation, I would follow Red in and then speed boost and heal him in, and then try and get that pick on Moira, and then try and contest the Widowmaker, because you don't have your main contest for Widowmaker right now. So if you remove her out of the picture, then you'll have a much better chance of winning the fight. That was a really nice shatter for people, but you didn't quite have enough follow-up, but there is a good nade that comes in. And this is a very aggressive flank from Alchemist, but of course, a Master's Tier Widow will commonly do things like this, where they will come around on the opposite high ground or backline high ground and try and kill your team. So, of course, this gives sightlines there. If Stolen's standing up there, of course, she can kill your Ana and then go after whatever else is remaining, whether it be Lucio Reinhardt or a secondary DPS of your team. So that is something that you're going to need to watch out for. I don't know how many Widowmakers are in the league that have the skill that Alchemist does. Of course, Salem can tell us that, but yeah, so that way you're prepared against someone who's a Masters Plus or GM hit scan player, because they're going to do things like this, so don't be surprised. That's just something from higher level play. And it's very common. I know many Widowmakers who play like Alchemist, so I am used to that. Some good shots though. Fire Strike and a couple Ana darts to the body there. You died to the Venom Mine, gosh. So disappointed.
Check this out.
Now, this is something that I will talk about here, is that you are nearing Sound Barrier. You don't have it quite yet. Of course, they do have Flux. You know that they will have Flux because I haven't used Flux yet, and it's been over 2 minutes. So you can try and build up that remaining ultimate safely. They're going to come over here and then drop down. So maybe you can get a little bit of healing in as well before they engage and try and get a few headshots onto the Orisa or something like that, or onto the Sigma, and then you'll have Sound Barrier just in time to save your team from Flux. So let's see how this plays out. Yeah, like you get some percentage there, and then you're going to put yourself back on healing. You're on speed boost again. You can heal a little bit more, and then you can go after the Orisa, get into like the Orisa's face, and then you'll have Sound Barrier, and then you can back off, and then play a little bit more passive with your team until Flux happens, and then you can Sound Barrier everybody, and then you can go back to being aggressive onto them as they push in. This was a great grab though, and of course we have the follow-up that goes right through, so that's going to kill 3 people. That's great. And of course, Death Blossom to follow up. You do get the kill on the Orisa with it, and the Supercharger. And good surviving against the Sigma. Okay, as soon as she hits the Infocyte, you are getting a little aggressive out there. I mean, that's normally fine, but she does have sights on you now, so you're going to have to be prepared for the grapple up and then possibly headshots and whatnot, so just be prepared for that. Try and make yourself a little bit difficult to hit. That way she can't just land an easy shot on you.
60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, like Shatter was a little bit earlier than it should have been. Barriers were slightly off. Projected was a little bit too soon on that first one, but now you got the second one is just right. And none of you touched the Molten Core, so I am proud of that. That was a good Shatter.
30 seconds remaining.
Yes, Bowie the Moira. And now the Sigma staggered himself.
10 seconds remaining. Overtime.
Yeah, overall, I mean, pretty well played. There are a couple things that I'd like to address though, because it seems like in certain areas, like we stayed on, we stayed on dive a little bit too long in this area of the map. Things were going pretty well through first and second, and then once we got around this corner here, things started to fizzle out because of the double shield that they were running, because they were adapting to the dive double shield with Brig and Far Mercy, so a lot of counters there to the dive tanks because you guys weren't necessarily running a full dive. Still, that would have been a very challenging composition to pull off with, even with full dive, like Genji, Doomfist, whatnot, with your Winston and Diva, but that was something that you did eventually recognize. You did swap to the Reinhardt and to the Zarya, so that was good. And there are a few moments where Twistic was a little bit out of position, a little bit too far forward. Of course, you're not used to playing against a sniper that is of Alchemist caliber at 3500 plus SR, so that is somebody who is very good at Widowmaker, certainly mechanically skilled, and they believe in themselves, they believe in their ability to headshot you, so that's certainly the most dangerous type of Widowmaker that you can encounter in Overwatch. So it was good to see the Sniper Duel and Far Mercy, because I think that's something that we haven't really faced that much in the league. There's only a couple teams that can really run Far Mercy correctly, and certainly there may only be 2 teams in the league. Of course, Salem knows which ones can play Widowmaker and not, but so you can chalk down Paris Eternal as one of those teams that can play Widowmaker at a very high level. So watch out for that. But overall, execution was better. Dive has been really improving. So Dive went from probably a D minus, and then I saw this match, and Dive went to a B plus here. So that was quite a very good improvement for you guys. So that was great to see you two being on the same page. A little minute things that I discussed about it, but overall there's been a very big improvement since the last time that I watched a dive VOD from our team, and that was just within a 10 or 12 day span. So noticeably improving. So that is great to see, and I will see you guys in the next VOD review. I believe that would be number 10, and take care.